How you guys doing? Murph here, bringing you another product review. Today's review is going to be on the Redragon K530 Draconic 60% keyboard. This is a 60% keyboard offering from Redragon with full RGB backlighting and even wireless Bluetooth functionality. This keyboard comes in two different colors, black and white, and just kind of talking about the overall design, build quality, aesthetics. Keep in mind this is more of a mid-range keyboard. The price on this at the time of review is around $65 in the US. So not quite what I would call budget per se, but definitely on the cheaper side of a 60% keyboard. And the first thing I noticed when I took it out of the box is not only how nice it looks, but it feels really good as well. It does have an all plastic body, but it feels like a high density, higher quality plastic. There is no bending in this keyboard at all. Even pressing hard in on the sides, there is a tiny bit of give, but it is not bad at all. And there's no kind of squeaking or creaking of any kind coming from this keyboard either. It just feels very well built and very sturdy. On the back here, you'll notice it also has height adjustment feet that just kind of collapse right back into the body. And they do have rubber on the bottom to prevent sliding around on your desktop. So if you do prefer a little bit of a higher typing angle, that is an option on this keyboard. As far as the layout, this is pretty standard for a 60% keyboard layout. All the keys are about where you would expect them to be. And the keycaps themselves feel very nice. There also shouldn't be too many durability issues. And on the side of the keycaps, it's actually a glossy plastic, which at first I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but it actually feels and looks really nice on this keyboard. The light kind of radiates off of that glossy finish in between the keys, and so it looks really nice. Let me unplug it here. On the side here, you can see the USB Type-C connector. I'm using a straight connector at the moment, but it does come with an L-shaped connector, which is probably best for this keyboard. And you have here the on and off toggle switch for the Bluetooth, as well as a selector switch where you can select between multiple devices. Should you have 2 or 3 different Bluetooth devices, you can actually connect this to each one and then switch between them with the flip of a switch. The other side is clean here, and then on the front you just have that Redragon logo for branding. This keyboard comes in Automu brown switches, and if you're familiar with that switch type, they're considered kind of a budget switch, but I've never had any issues with them as far as durability, as well as typing. They're a little bit on the loud side for me. I typically like a little bit of a quieter switch, and the Automu switches are typically loud even for their switch type, whether they're brown or blue or whatever. That's more of a personal preference thing. It may or may not bother you, but just be aware of that. We'll get to a sound test later on in the video though, so you can kind of hear what these brown switches sound like, but they feel really nice to type on. This whole keyboard actually just feels really, really good. As you can see, the RGB LEDs are very bright and vibrant on this keyboard. And one great thing about this keyboard, especially at its $65 price point, is it comes with a very intuitive software option for setting macros for the keys, as well as adjusting the RGB functions on this keyboard. Real quick, we'll get into a typing test. I kind of like to break my typing tests into 2 different sections. The first will be a test of just kind of a normal use scenario, whether you're writing a report, doing homework, browsing the web, doing some light gaming, whatever. All right, and the second sound test will be a little bit more forceful. A lot of people like to poke on their keys. Tends to be a little bit louder if you're a little bit more of a heavy-handed gamer and you smack those keys a little harder. I like to just give kind of a worst case scenario, how loud can this keyboard get kind of deal. So All right, so most of you won't be smacking your keys that hard. You'll pay attention more to that first test, but I do like to give a worst case scenario because not everybody types the same, just to show the potential for how loud these can be. But even in a normal use case scenario, the keys are a little loud for my liking, but some people really like that. And for what it's worth, it does have a nice little click to it. These are a little bit more of a tactile switch. There's a slight bump in there, but overall feels and sounds really good to type on. Really no complaints there. All right, moving right into talking about the RGB and the software that comes with this. I really like what they did with their software. When you first download it and pull it up, this is what you're going to be presented with. And what's cool about this is not only do you have multiple profiles that you can choose between, so you can set different profiles if you've got multiple people using this keyboard or you have different games you want to set it up for or whatnot, but it also has macro function where you can come in and set up your macros. But on top of that, you can actually adjust each individual key. If you turn off this backlight, you can actually come in and choose, say, the W key, and you can select your macro setting or even assign a multimedia function, whether it's to stop or play music or videos or anything like that. Pull up your calculator, your email. You can set different functions to each individual key separately, and that's a really cool option that's typically found on more expensive gaming keyboards with more well-known software like Razer and Corsair and stuff like that. So really cool. And then as far as the lighting for this keyboard, like I said, it looks really, really good. And I'll just cycle through a few of these options here. This is what they refer to as trial of light. And you can actually adjust the speed and the brightness on each of these settings. Here's their breathing pattern. This is just fully on. Stream. Clouds fly. Kind of like the gradient color on that one, the gradient pattern. Winding paths. Flowers blooming. Snow, winter, jasmine. Swift action. Both ways. Surmount. Fast and Furious, which is probably my favorite. And then Coastal. Okay, so plenty of different options there to choose between, and overall everything just looks really, really good. That pretty much wraps up the review. My final thoughts, honestly, this is probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest, gaming keyboard I have reviewed on this channel at this price point. Anything under about the $80 or $90 mark, this is probably the best. I'm very impressed with what they did here for the price. The build quality feels excellent. It's a pleasure to type on. The RGB LEDs are very, very bright. Everything just looks and feels solid. And on top of that, you get Bluetooth wireless functionality as well, which is just a nice added touch. Redragon did a really solid job here. I'm impressed. Anyone who is looking for a cheaper alternative to something like, say, a Razer Huntsman Mini or a Ducky 1-2 Mini or an An Pro 2, anything like that, this is a really solid option for essentially half the price. I can't speak towards longevity because this is the first Redragon that I have used, but assuming this holds up well, and I see no reason why it wouldn't, everything seems pretty high quality here. If you're looking for a cheaper 60% keyboard, I would definitely recommend this one. And that pretty much wraps up this review, guys. If you guys liked this video or found it useful at all, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see other content like this, such as product reviews, gaming accessory reviews, stream tutorials, anything like that, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you guys have any questions about this keyboard or the review in general, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below. I hope everyone watching has a great rest of your day in YouTube. I'll catch you later.